Really interesting idea. The joke's on you. The whole thing was one big joke, and you, the audience, fell for it. Guys, FinalDeathStar. So let's talk Joker. Finally got to see it last night after all the talk and all this hubbub, and gotta say, it definitely lives up to the expectations you may have based on all of the media, critics kind of trashing it, audience scores very high, loving it. I mean, it's an excellent, excellent film. You may have heard that people have said it's different than a superhero kind of movie, and I would say that's accurate. I would also say that is exactly what I expected from this film. I grew up with the Scorsese movies, so Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, and you can definitely see those elements in this movie. So I was expecting a movie that kind of was a deeper, sort of dark character study, and this is what it was. You know, it's a classic kind of throwback film to that 70s and 80s sort of method of storytelling and cinematography. You know, the camera work, oh man, there's some fantastic shots, just beautifully constructed. The lighting is great. The movements of Joaquin, who, you know, it carries the movie. I mean, he is unbelievable in this. It doesn't, you know, you forget you're watching Joaquin Phoenix, let alone he lost 52 pounds, I believe, for this role. So he was 130 something pounds in this. Incredible, the transformation he made. It's, you know, definitely worth seeing. It's not a superhero movie. It's a film, a character study film of someone who, you know, is on the fringes of society and eventually breaks. The issues with the media and critics saying this is going to incite violence, it's going to cause people to go out and, you know, it makes it okay to be this killer. No. This does not glorify killing in any way. He's not an anti-hero. You do see and understand how he becomes who he eventually becomes, but it doesn't glorify it. It doesn't make it seem like, oh yeah, that's, you know, the right way to go. No. It definitely has a very ominous and, you know, dark tone about it. Like, the music's incredible. The slow building orchestra. There's one scene in particular where he's dancing down the stairs, and this is in the trailer, and it moves from a Gary Glitter song. It moves from that, and he's dancing to that, and it's kind of this upbeat, fun, you know, moment, and then it kind of reminds you, this is very dark and disturbing, and it goes into this ominous, you know, orchestral movement that's very dark, and it kind of takes you out. You know, it kind of reminds you, like, hey, it's not all fun and games. Like, this isn't fun. This is very wrong. And you sense that, you know, when you're watching this. So it's just, you know, it's fantastic. Where he compares to other Jokers, it's tough because it's a different kind of movie. You know, everyone loves the Heath Ledger, as do I. But it's different because Heath was a character that was inside of a Batman movie, and Joaquin, this is his movie. The whole movie is about him. He is the driving force. So it's not exactly a fair comparison to make because he's got the whole movie. I mean, I'd put him right up there. If you had to make a comparison, I would say, you know, I probably prefer this. My favorite's still Mark Hamill. Yeah, the animated Joker is still the Joker to me. I mean, that's still the Joker. But aside from that, yeah, I would say he is probably number 2. Now, I did just see the movie last night, so it's fresh in my mind. You know, so there is that to kind of weigh and maybe let it settle a little bit. But I have to say, also, I have not been able to stop this movie from creeping into my mind since I saw it, since I left the theater last night. So that's another good sign that something that sticks with you like that, it makes you think about it. Fantastic. This is something that after I left the theater, my friend sent me, and I thought this is a really interesting theory. And the more I think about it, the more it perfectly would fit the Joker, you know, and a movie about the Joker. So this is from Reddit, and this was someone's post, and I'm just going to read it. It's brief, but it's very interesting. And the theory goes like this, that Arthur, aka Joker, made up everything. Really interesting idea. The joke's on you. The whole thing was one big joke, and you, the audience, fell for it. Perfect, right? Okay, so here's what he says, and this is from Frankie Zip. /Frankie Zip. I'll post it in the comments, or I'll link it so you guys can check it out. It says, so me and a bud were pretty set on the idea that the joke Arthur comes up with at the end was basically the whole movie we watched. So he has a scene in the end where he's being analyzed by a doctor, a psych ward at Arkham, I'm assuming, and he says, he's laughing, and the doctor says, what's so funny, or what are you laughing at? He said, you wouldn't understand. I just came up with a joke. So they're assuming, or they're thinking, that the whole movie was the joke that he had just come up with. And they give reasons here. So he says, I watched for a second time and made mental notes to back up the theory. There's a couple of little clues to everything being made up by Arthur, and I've not seen anyone talk about them anywhere, and here it goes. This is exactly what I imagined, was a quote. Arthur says this whole thing on the Murray Franklin show. It's exactly as he imagined it, because he imagined it both times. It's just a little thing, but I think it's interesting. But the main one is this. At the start of the film, we see a very quick shot of Arthur bashing his head on an asylum door. The only thing in the shot is a big clock next to Arthur. The clock reads 11:10. Later, after Arthur is fired and packing up his locker at Ha-Ha's, he says, I forgot to punch out, and begins bashing his fist on the clock, the employee clock out thing. And it reads, you guessed it, 11:10. As if this whole movie is happening in the blink of an eye. Later, on the Murray Franklin show, when Arthur first comes out, the clock says 10:50. And approximately 20 minutes later into the film, he's in the very same asylum as the start, saying he just thought of a joke. I'm pretty bloody sure this isn't a coincidence. This, for me, is an exciting theory because it means that for this iteration of the Joker, we still don't really have a backstory. Potentially, he made up every single thing. If he imagined he was adored by Murray, imagine that he had a girlfriend who says that he didn't fictionalize the whole thing. The only real bit of the whole movie may have been the last 5 minutes, if that. Let me know if you have any thoughts on the above. And I'm going to pose that to you. Let me know what you guys think of this theory in the comments down below. So comment down below on what you guys think of this theory. I think this fits brilliantly. If this is true, I am so on board, because that means we still don't know who the Joker is. We have a possibility hidden inside of the movie itself that this all could be just coming from his mind. Yeah, I just thought that was a great theory. It fits with the clock things. It definitely seems like they were trying to indicate something. There was some sort of message, being delivered there. 11:10 on both clocks, 10:50, 20 minutes later, it's 11:10. There's something there to that. I think I might see it a second time. That's how into it I was. I really want to see this again, which is the sign of a great film. I'll tell you one thing before I cut this video off. More movies and directors and cinematographers need to take a hint from this movie, because people want character development. People want longer, lingering shots that really get you in to who this person is and the world in which he lives. Too many quick cuts these days, and it's ruining film. There might be something to the fact that we don't get as attached. A lot of the classic movies of the 80s and 90s, it's because the filmmaking was different. They spent more time. You got to look and view into someone's eyes longer. And I think that really gets you into that character more. You feel more connected to someone when you have a moment to look and see, what is he thinking? What is he feeling? With all the quick cuts these days, it's hard to really get into that mindset. It's hard to get into the character because you're driven from one thing to another so fast that you don't have time to feel what he's feeling. And I think this movie is the perfect depiction of what it's what it is to build a character and then draw you in as an audience, draw you into that character. So I hope more films take note of this in the future and kind of go back to an older style of filmmaking. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, ring that bell for notifications. And until next time, lock the doors and hope.